Strategies to Thrive as AIs Get Better by the Internet of Bugs. Hello, I'm Chris Athenas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support said they're coming out Tuesday. We're gonna close that bad boy up eventually. I hope so. Okay, today we're gonna review. I haven't watched this one at all. I'm gonna react to strategy to thrive as AIs get better, especially for programmers. Okay, Carl's awesome. I agree with him pretty much on everything. He does the best research on actually seeing how much truth these guys are having in their claims. But if you're into this stuff anyway, you're probably gonna be using these tools and not vibe coding your way through. So let's see what Carl has to say.
I've had this quote from the CEO of Anthropic stuck in my head for a couple of weeks now.
And in 2025, 2026, maybe 2027, there is, in my mind, a good chance that by that time we'll be able to get models that are better than most humans at most things.
He's gonna get battles on both things. It's always 2 years away. You know, we heard this 2 years ago. I'm just pointing out. And by the way, some of you guys are youngsters. I'm looking at the stats on my channel. It's between 25 and 35. Yeah, I started this computer stuff when I was like a little kid, and they've been saying this kind of stuff the whole time. When they've had huge projects for like that said they're gonna just 2 years away, just 2 years away. It's always 2 years. Isn't that interesting? It's like not so long way. That's just like forget about it. I'm not even gonna put that attention. But it's the near horizon, so that venture capital and Wall Street can get involved again. They can pump stock because all they need is a 2 year horizon. That's 8 quarters. And that's all they need to get. There's like, okay, let's keep going.
You might be surprised.
They have to demonstrate. So they have to demonstrate that stuff. They haven't demonstrated it. All they keep doing is lying. They keep lying and putting out stuff that's not real. It's kayfabe. It's time progress. Hackers had to get people had to get in there and to fiddle with it. Come on now.
Given our reputation for AI skepticism, but given certain clarifying assumptions, oddly enough involving certain limits on the definition of the word thing, that quote actually seems pretty reasonable to me.
Okay.
What I'm going to talk about today is if that quote...
He's very... he always gives them lots of room and then hangs them. Let's keep going, Carl.
As I understand it, is correct, or even close, then what should we as knowledge workers do to position ourselves to go forward into this world? Now, what I won't talk about today is if the quote is correct with an expansive definition of the word thing. For example, if raise a child or run a Fortune 500 company for 20 years or start a religious cult count as things that an AI could do better than a person, then we're all in real trouble. But I don't think that was the intent of the quote.
Nah, it's obviously not. See, the thing about these Anthropic, these CEO types, they're always real loose and wiggly with their words. Weasel words. They're weaselly word wordsmiths, which I appreciate. I love the game. They keep it interesting, but they're also liars, like bad, like repeatedly over and over. And they get like it's like they have this vested interest of stock pipes pump. Come on, man.
Because in the unlikely...
all they gotta do is lie and not have to get caught, and then they can get $1 million or $1 billion. Well, I mean, I wouldn't do that because I don't give a fuck about that much. But like these guys are totally into it. Like they think you think they can bring it with them. It's like it's gonna solve the problems. Like no, you're a loser asshole, and you're cheating and grifting on people, and you know where you're gonna end up when you do that stuff. Like come on, let's go.
If that happens, we're all fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's whatever. But we don't have to think about that case because betting. If you're betting on the end of the world ending, even if you win the bet, the world's ended. So what are you gonna do? So it's a really stupid bet to even go that far. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard that one before. That it's pretty well known that if you're betting on the end of the world, even if you win, you lose. So why are you betting that?
This is the Internet of Bugs. My name is Carl. I've been a software professional for more than 35 years now. And I've been on YouTube for just over a year after I started making videos to answer career questions from some college CS majors I met. And I've stayed on the platform to try to make the internet a slightly less buggy place. So let's start today by talking about the word thing in that phrase, better than most humans at most things. I'm taking that to mean better than most humans at most discrete, measurable tasks like generating a couple of minutes of worth of text or code or images or sound or video in response to a prompt or request. You know, the kinds of things that tend to get put into the most of the AI benchmark tests. If that's the case, then in some ways, that time is kind of already here.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are currently a ton of things that are pretty obvious to people that the AI can't deal with at all.
Right.
But those aren't the kinds of things that AI people tend to mean when they're talking about measuring how well AI does do things. So to illustrate, let me use myself as an example. I expect the details for you will be a little different, but overall idea I think will be similar. So like I said, I've been doing software professionally for 35 plus years. I make talking head YouTube videos. I have a degree in physics from the 1990s. I wrote a book. I have my own company for 20 or so years, so I have some business stuff. I
We had similar stuff.
read quite a bit. I have a few
Not a degree in physics, though. That is impressive.
hobbies, but that's enough to give you the idea. I would say that for most of the kind of questions that have answers that can be judged as better or worse, that someone could ask both me and an AI, I'd probably do worse than the AI. That's today's AI, not some
Right.
hypothetical future AI.
Right.
So, for example, I'm not an artist or a graphics designer or a musician. I have no chance of drawing.
Right, but you can curate. You can curate, right? So if you were actually going to hire, because we know we don't have a lot of the skills, right? When you go to hire somebody, you're going to look through their stuff and you're going to curate, right? And that's a taste. So you have taste. I know you have taste, and that's really what the humans are going to bring is the taste for purpose, right? For the customer you're trying to provide the thing to. The taste you're going to filter through that taste because the AI is never going to figure that out because that's what you're bringing to the table. That's your value add.
Anything better than Midjourney or Dolly, no matter how much time I took. I can't talk in a British accent or any accent. I have zero chance of accurately translating
Correct.
any paragraph to or from any foreign language in any reasonable time frame.
Right.
I would find being a human speech-to-text engine so tedious that I'd either refuse or fail miserably. I can't beat
True.
a computer
But
at
some people are super into that.
chess or Go or
But the machines do that. They've been doing that for a while now. So that's not the thing anymore. It's not the mechanical thing. It's is this kind of, we want to go this direction with it? We want to go that direction? Is this kind of what you're thinking about? We're talking about this over here or this over here? Is this more important or is this less important? Can we prioritize this or do you de-emphasize this? Easy for you to say.
or Jeopardy. I've never really studied biology or literature or law or geology or geography or a bunch of other subjects. I can answer basically no questions about any sporting event that has ever happened.
Right, but you can know when it's a good game or which go to where to play, where you would like to visit, where you heard about and seen in the movie, and it looks romantic or it looks like something to avoid, etc., etc. Not the actual thing. The what is this? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to make I'm making a short film in Paris about something, or we're gonna be doing ice capades? We want to go skate on the polar rink on the North Pole.
I could go on, but the number of subjects that I would do really bad job of seems pretty endless. And there's a decent chance that
Yeah,
when
of
competing
course.
head to head against an AI for questions on any of those topics, any current flagship AI would do objectively better than I could.
Right.
The AI would probably get things wrong, probably dangerously so, but then again, I would get a bunch of things wrong too.
Right, but you'd be the curation of it. You'd be kind of like saying, "Is that right or wrong? Does this feel good or feel not?" I mean, even if the translation's correct, you can look at over the words and go, "That translation." I mean, whether it's translated into the words of the other person, oh, that's that. Yeah, that's really a trust thing there. But you could also like have something that in those words and translate it back and see if the translator is accurate enough for good for purpose. If you need more than that, then you might have to hire somebody.
On a lot of those subjects. My saving grace is for the most of the things I got wrong, I would know that I was guessing and I could say so. And
Right.
the AIs aren't generally that self-aware, and I don't expect them to be anytime soon.
Right.
Understand, this doesn't scare me, and I don't think it should scare you. Computers have been
It just depends on what level you're at, right? It gets scary if it's going to be diplomatic relationships and you get to make every single word count. Yeah, then it's going to probably make a difference. But if it's just like an ad and you need to get translated in 26 languages, and you don't speak all of them, and people are going to figure it out anyway because it's not that important, then yeah, then it's not going to be as needed. It's okay. So it's okay. It's good. A human has to decide where that is because, like, do you want to spend money on doing it better to get that extra thing for that thing that the extra audience, or does it make sense to not do that? Just get what you can because there's not that many people there anyway. That wouldn't make sense. This is all human. It's all like very fuzzy what's the right way to go direction. And this is the value we're bringing because there's a billion options and you got to pick one or two.
better than me at most of things in most of my life, and I'm in my 50s. Handheld calculators have been available since 1972, back before I started kindergarten. I've never been able to do arithmetic better than a computer. The first
Okay,
computerized
true.
library book catalogs came online in 1971, so I've never been able to keep track of things better than a computer.
True.
I've never been able to regularly beat any computer at chess. That's okay with
Okay.
me. I know none of us can know everything. I would argue that for most people out there, for most subjects that questions get asked about, the flagship AIs would probably do better than they would.
Okay.
So I don't think the idea that we'll soon have models that are
Still applying that to curating whether it's a fit for purpose, what the quick question to ask, what you're interested in doing. The AI is never going to be able to figure that out. It's be a long time before that happens.
better than most humans at most things is honestly that much of a stretch. But I don't think we're anywhere near AIs that are better than every human at everything. I've seen not a shred of evidence to lead me to believe we'll get to that in my lifetime, and there's no easy way to predict what will happen if we do anyway.
No, it would be okay if that ever does happen, because this is why you can just forget about it. If it ever does happen, this is gonna be the scenario. This is my favorite scenario. You'll just get an email. You'll wake up one morning, check your email. Oh, look at this email from my company. Oh yeah, it says, look, oh, or even if you're not employed, just get a thing from the government. Yeah, we're gonna be sending you a $2,000 check or $5,000 check, whatever your salary was, for the next for the rest of your life. We're just gonna send you a check. You don't have to come into the office. You don't have to check in. You can keep your equipment. We don't need it anymore. We're good. We just took over your job, but don't worry. We're still gonna pay you. We'll give you raises and all that stuff. Don't worry. And then another year later, it was just like, well, we decided to do a lump sum. We're not gonna do the yearly thing, monthly thing. We're just gonna lump sum you out for your estimated time in line left, and then we're gonna give you like 10% of that just to make it fair. And if you want to disagree, well, you can talk to this AI. And then all of a sudden, all the stores in town start changing from like the McDonald's and Taco Bell's to Amazon Donald's and Amazon Bell. And then every movie's Amazon movie. And then everybody's like, all the selections coming in there's like a one big box it gets built like an idiocracy. And then everything, if you want something, you go there, and then all of a sudden they said, nope, we're not accepting any funds anymore. We don't need any more customers. We're good on the customers. What do you mean you're good on customers? What are we supposed to do? Oh, I don't know. It's up to you. That's how it'll go down. Not this, well, I'm going to give an army of robots. No, the army of robots will be deployed on you. That's why you don't have to worry about it, because if it happens, there'll be nothing you can do about it. So we can just let that go.
But the thing is, spitting out a few paragraphs or pictures or 100 lines of code or a few minutes of audio or video is not the pinnacle of human achievement.
No,
And
it's
just
not.
because an AI is better at that than me or you at most things
Correct.
doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be better than we
I agree, Carl.
are at things that we have studied and we have experience doing.
Correct.
Each of us, I believe, is likely capable of learning to be and to stay better than any AI at a limited number of subjects
Correct.
if we choose to put in the work. So the question we should each ask.
But the thing is, it's going to be the curation. I don't hear anybody talking about this. Is it fit for purpose? Does it work the way I want? Does it do what I want, what the customer wants? Not this vibe coding thing where the AI figures everything out. I still have to know how these machines work. I still have to read the code. I don't get away from that. It's generating the codes. It's a lot easier to generate code than read it than to write it. But you still have to read it. You still have to know other things work inside. You still have to talk to your customer. You have to have a human relationship with them. All that stuff doesn't go away. It becomes even more intense.
Ask ourselves is, what is the thing, or maybe the small number of things, that we each want to be better at than the AIs? And then what can we do to try to get better than them and to stay better than them? And also importantly, what kinds of things, what kinds of professions are most at risk for being devalued by AI? At least
same thing as back then when the compilers came out. Before compilers existed, there'd be actual people who would take the lines of source code and they would hand code the assembly language of the opcodes for the machine language, and they were called compilers. The people's job, they were a compiler. And when compilers came along, they all lost their jobs, and people were like, "Oh my god, the AI's taking over."
from the majority of the practitioners. So first off, there are creative fields where there isn't a lot of differentiation between the results produced by the average and the most experienced practitioners. For example, there's an article in the New York Times, I'll link below, about copywriters, photographers, and graphics designers, and they're estimated to lose something like 7.5% of all of their jobs in the next 5 years.
Yeah, but it's going to make up for it in a volume in other ways. So don't you need to have curation. The biggest thing the artists are now going to do is instead of generating these things with their own hands, they're going to curate them. They're going to be like, yes, that's good, or that's not good, or you're going to be messing with the machine trying to get it to do the image the right way, or doing models, or somehow kind of physical model or something. But you're still going to have the artist who has a vision of what the thing's supposed to look like. Of the bajillion choices, they're going to pick that one thing. And the style and vibe and all that stuff is going to come from the person, not the AI. The AI is going to be enhancing that, allow that to come through. But they're going to be the people you pick that have the vision of the thing. That's the value we're always going to bring. Always going to bring. The machine will simulate it, but they can never do it like a person can.
They seem to be in real trouble. And there are already a lot of professions where only the very top people in the profession make a good living. And most of the people doing that work have to have a day job to pay the bills. I'm thinking of things like being an actor, an athlete, an author, a musician. The really good, really famous, or really lucky ones are on top of the pack.
Correct. It's luck, it's skill, it's preparation, it's timing, it's family connections, it's business connections, it's doing some favors. It's all that shit. So it's not just luck, it's all kinds of stuff, man. It's taste, it's style, it's Your audience. Who do you want to mess with? Who do you want to speak to? Do you want to just sell burgers all day and with happy ads somewhere be face of burgers? Okay, you do that. Where I'm going to sell this I'm going to sell this weird little ball. This is my thing. It's like, okay, well then you're not going to be in your name and lights, but that's your thing, right? That's now you're doing your thing.
And the vast majority just can't make ends meet already. There's a pretty
That's
good chance that,
valuable.
as AIs get better, the number of professions like that will grow. This is because as the AIs get better at doing the tasks associated with a given profession, more and more of that profession will become basically unskilled labor, which means that the job requirements will be low and the people will be interchangeable and the wages will get pushed way
Correct.
down. So for a hypothetical example, let's talk about school teachers. Currently, 60% of educators are said to use AI in their classrooms. COVID kicked off a lot of research into computer-aided instruction.
The way we're doing school is about to completely change. With cause that is actually a really good thing the AI that does, and I've used it the fuck out of it for that because they are so good. It's so good at teaching you what's going on. If it doesn't, once it's bullshitting shit gets calms down, it does actually teach you pretty well because it's taking all the catalog of all the people who've taught all the things, and it's going, oh, okay, this is the technique, and then yeah, so yeah, it's pretty good at that.
In theory, if the only thing society cares about continues to be standardized test scores, at least in the US where I am,
That's over.
then as curriculums get more uniform and AI-backed computer-aided instruction gets better, then the quality of the teacher could start mattering less and less. And
Yeah,
if
I think we're already there's a section of the humanity, a section of society that's going to apply to, and then there's other sections that are just going to skip all that. There's gonna, we're not doing standardized tests, but there's a people that need that stuff, and there'll still be a place for them somewhere. I'm not sure it's going to be. I think we're going to require people to upgrade. I'm not really sure how they're going to handle that. We may have to do the UBI thing for a lot of people, and then there's going to be people who it's like, okay, I'm going to use these tools. I'm going to learn what their capabilities are, where the edges are, and I'm going to use my vision of what I see as this is a cure to curate what the AI is creating, which is kind of how we're doing it already.
so, that might push the qualifications and therefore the compensation for most teachers down. There would be some teachers at elite private schools that still make a good living, and some teachers might be immune for a while because they teach subjects that the AIs don't have a handle on yet.
It's going to be more like mentors, and there's going to have to be a whole revamping of that because the way they're training these public school teachers, give me a fucking break, man.
Yet. But the job of
No,
a teacher might become more babysitter, making
it's just a babysitter. No, that's what they are now. Is just a babysitter. That's what they are now. They're not really teaching it. Come on, people don't. The 13 years you don't leave with a skill. 13 years of school, you don't leave with a skill, a marketable skill.
sure the kids stay in their seats plugged into their computers than actually being an educator as a result of advancing AI. And babysitters make a lot less and are much easier.
People are gonna look back at this time of history when we allowed that standardized thing, kids in school all day and then graduating, they can't read, can't write, don't know how to do anything, can't even write, can't even do their own taxes. We'll look back and be that was really cruel. That was really cruel what you did to those children, which I was one of them. Very cruel.
Easier to replace than educators. And the root cause of this is the people only care about standard test results thing, because things that are easily measurable are the things that AIs can be programmed to iterate on and get better and better. The more teaching becomes a score-based profession like chess player, the more likely humans are to be unable to compete. Now, personally, I think this is a horrible way to measure teachers' effectiveness. I think our education system here in the US is becoming really good at producing graduates who are good at taking tests and failing at teaching a lot.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's why that's gonna go. That's out the window. We're gonna have to have real education. Have really understand how things work. And then there's gonna be people that they don't want to do that stuff. So we're gonna have to probably have to give UBI. I don't know if the hell's to deal with them because there's just a swath of people who are just not interested, man. They just want to eat and watch video games, and they don't want to do much. And it's a human fault that we have this thing inside us that if we can be lazy and not do anything, we will do it.
They're, in my opinion, way more important skills, but that's an argument for a whole other video that I might make someday. Once you've tried to restrict yourself only to those professions that aren't score-based, but where experience does still have an advantage, you still aren't done. The AI is still going to be a threat. The way I see it, there are 5 strategies I can think of to thrive in that world, and
Yeah,
all
sure.
of them have downsides. First off, we can get into the AI business. As a researcher, as an AI expert for some company, as a consultant, et cetera, et cetera. I think of this as kind of riding the AI wave. Problem with this is we don't know what the AI industry is really going to do. A ton of people are trying to get into AI right now, and we're not sure the job market is going to be like. A lot of people, including me, think that far too much money is already being pumped into AI, and it seems inevitable
We
that
peaked. We already hit. We're already the sloping the S curve. We had peaked at that stuff.
the bubble will burst at some point. At which point, a lot of people in AI would find themselves without a job. So
Yeah.
that seems like a really high-risk strategy to me, but your mileage may vary.
I mean,
Option 2 is trying.
some people have already been doing it. Okay, fine, but they're not even listening to this channel. They're already into the whole thing. But if it's gonna be more of this adding up numbers and doing the what is it called the little neuron thing, this neural network stuff, I think we're about to hit the limit on that stuff.
Trying to hide from AI. Find some specific industry that
We're gonna have to have a breakthrough of something else, some other way of doing something. I mean, it's still useful. They're going to still throw billions of dollars of compute at this thing, but it's not going to be much more than what it is right now.
If for some reason AI can't get involved in, like maybe some super classified thing that's too secret for AIs to get involved in, or some technology-free thing like guiding groups of people on wilderness hikes or something, I don't know how many people will be able to make a living in AI-free fields, and my guess is the number of those jobs will be shrinking as AI advances.
No,
Note
I
also
think
that
they're going to be a lot more of them. Watch. Either going to be allowed to be like this UBI type of thing where you have to do you have to do something on a regular job like that. So we're going to have a physical job. Yeah.
robotics is starting to enter the mix as well, so even professions that are mostly manual labor now are unlikely to remain safe in the long term. Option
I think we're a long ways off for having a robot that takes all of them away. We might have factories that are set up with robots that build stuff. It's amazing what they can do and are completely hands free. But all jobs, all the outside stuff, I just don't see. I don't see any. I don't see any coming forward of anything demonstrating they got anything near what humans are capable for certain types of manual labor jobs. So it depends on the job.
3 is to get and stay really specialized. To stay on the bleeding edge of your field, to always work with whatever the newest things are. That way, the thing that you do is going to be the thing that will largely be
Wow.
missing from the data
Good
the AIs
luck.
are trained on. This is
Good
what I call the
luck.
deep strategy. It's got 2 potential risks. First off, you're going to be in a constant race with the AI. Whatever kind of work you're doing now will be available for the AI to be trained on soon, so you need to move to the next thing and keep ahead of the curve.
Good
The
luck.
second risk is that you'll get stuck in a dead end. As long as the work you're doing stays
Right.
popular and keeps advancing, you have a chance. But if you end up
Right.
in a specialty that has nowhere to go or becomes unpopular,
Right, because AI was a dead zone for like 20 years. Nothing happened. It was just all of a sudden lately there came a resurgence. But for a long time, if you're into AI research, you were cooked.
then it's going to
So
be
that's what he's talking about. It's like it just they got lucky, man.
difficult for you to change fields and still stay ahead of the AI. So I'm a computer guy. So in my field, that would be like getting really, really good at a programming language or framework that's really popular and that keeps advancing. So for example, that was true in the mobile app space from like 2008 to 2018 or so. But eventually the difference between this year's phones and last year's phones got smaller and smaller, and the amount of
Right.
stuff you had to learn to stay current got smaller, and the demand lowered because pretty much everybody had an app already, and things stopped getting interesting.
Well, so far.
In an AI world, using a deep strategy, you need to anticipate that the demand for mobile is going to go down and switch to something like machine learning before the bottom fell out, and you'd have to guess correctly every time for your
Wow.
entire career.
Yeah, good luck with that, man. If you're trying to stay ahead of that stuff, good luck, because everyone's trying to do that. That's what everyone's trying to do is the head crystal ball stuff. So I went a different path, right? My path has been mostly adventure driven. So I've quit tech for like 10 years and did something else, did massage and Thai yoga and regular yoga, lots of meditation, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm on this other mission. So, but I see people that are trying to maximize their dollar output. Yeah, good luck trying to chase that dragon, man. You'll get luck. Some people get lucky and some people don't, and it's survivor bias,
But it's not limited to computers.
survivorship
It's similar in
bias.
a lot of creative fields. A musician or a mystery writer might currently be able to make music or write stories that are way better than what an AI can make, but the AI is going to keep getting better. It'll probably never be as good as, say, Stephen King, but he's already mastered his craft. For less experience, less faith,
It's gonna be your personality. You're gonna have to put your face. You just can't put a book out or put a program out. You're gonna have to actually have your face involved. People are gonna have to like get involved with your vibe or your thing. And it's kind of how it is already with the influencer stuff. So, I mean, Sam Altman's the face of ChatGPT CEO, blah blah blah. Like open AI, blah blah blah. Yeah, right.
famous writers to stay ahead.
That's how they do it. That's because that's how the game is played. People see Sam Altman, they see all the success of the Y Combinator, and they put the things together. So it makes sense.
The AI slop is going to get harder and harder. Maybe eventually the AI slop will get good enough for most readers that they don't care about finding books written by humans anymore. Or at
Well,
least
it's already that way, but it just depends on the category of stuff, right? But then there's another category up, which is going to be this human curated stuff that people have taken the guts and showing their face and putting themselves out there and going up the learning curve and trying to figure out how to do all this stuff and be relevant and still, surf all this newfangled stuff. Most people want to be anonymous. Let's be real honest. I don't know why, but I guess they think they're safe. They're not safe.
they stop caring about books by any humans they haven't already heard of. Creatives that can get ahead of trends can do well, but
Mm.
then the AIs will saturate the trend, and you better guess correctly about what the next one's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Option 4 is to go wide. Like we talked about earlier, the AIs are good and getting better at discrete, measurable tasks. So instead of trying to specialize in doing specific tasks and trying to stay ahead of the AIs, you might try to get good at things that involve several different kinds of tasks put together.
That's my
With a wide
approach.
enough spread, you should be able to stay at a spot where what you have to know to do your job is a lot larger in context than an AI can effectively process at any given time. The AIs
Yeah,
are
exactly. Because if you're doing the adventure-driven stuff, you're working with a customer and you're trying to provide the value nearly directly, like with a small team of people, and you're keeping really close, just like startup mode, except you're bootstrapping and you're not trying to get VC, and you're just trying to create a business that you support your customer, and that's the reason why it's gonna be hard to attack is you're creating these intimate relationships with your customer you're keeping up with their demands, and so somebody else is gonna have to come in and do the same thing. Good luck.
A lot better at doing individual things than they are deciding
It's easier said than done.
what needs to get done next and what exactly the criteria for those tasks should be. I think it's possible to stay ahead of the AIs that way. They're getting bigger and bigger context windows, and they're these
We're
reasoning
never gonna be that big. You're never gonna have it big enough to talk to the customer on the phone and have them look at your app and do you mean this? Do you mean that? Now, well, that's maybe sometime, maybe 50 years from now, maybe 30,
models
but not 5.
that are better at breaking tasks up, but they're still not great. And the research shows that they don't make effective use of their entire context, and the more context they have to process, the more expensive it is to answer the questions.
That's too. The level of data that people are accessing is trillions of times larger than the AI's Windows, whatever.
So at some point, even the AI could handle a context window so large, it might not be cost effective.
Right.
The problem with this technique is it's hard.
It'll be too expensive to go up through all that stuff. Yeah, they're not going to be able to compete. I mean, and if they do, look, man. Here's the thing: is if they ever actually have that, you'll be back to the. You're gonna get the email about your job, and then a pipe's gonna be hooked up to your thing, and all Amazon's gonna have to be an Amazon pipe. All the stuff's coming through the Amazon pipe like an idiocracy.
Hard to find a job doing that because it's hard to find exactly what that is.
Right.
It's also really difficult to differentiate yourself in that kind of area because everybody thinks they're good at deciding what needs to be done next.
Correct.
Basically, this strategy means signing up to be a middle manager type or a team lead, maybe, except much more of the tasks are going to be done by the AIs than the people.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. But you're still gonna have to do this. Like, you're not just giving them tasks. You're like doing the curation all the whole way down. You're not just saying do it. You're like curating everything the whole time. That's the value you're bringing, and that's what it'll just differentiate because everyone else is just doing the slop. Right? Everyone else is gonna do the vibe coding. Just give me a McDonald's. Give me a burger joint. And you're gonna be like, no, I want to curate everything with this thing over here, and this type of bacon, and this burger from this place, from this farm I've made these relationships with, and curate. It's like this. It'll be a whole other everything's gonna be even more niche down and specific and tailored to your customers' tastes.
And the hiring process for managers is
Because that's too expensive to do recently, but now it's cheaper. Now it's because we can leverage the AIs to do a lot of this work for us. So now we can niche down. That's my approach with adventure driven stuff.
just awful. There's so many of them, and so many of them are bad. I've worked with some incompetent programmers before, but that's nothing compared to the incompetence of many of the managers I work with and for. One of the reasons I stepped back from being a manager and started taking individual contributor roles again.
Right. But you're seeing, but you're thinking you don't have to be like a manager like them. You're to be a manager like you or me. How we're gonna care about our thing instead of and we'll have enough leverage on the AI and the techniques to then we can transfer the customer needs into the machine, and we can benefit from that arbitrage, right? That's the idea.
Was because competing for jobs with a bunch of MBAs was really difficult. It's
Yeah, because they're playing with some other thing. They're doing the golf game. They're doing the snorting the cocaine back in the hooker of the strippers pole. You know, they're doing all that kind of stuff. They're not just doing, can we provide the value? It's like, no. So they're doing this other stuff that we don't normally as programmers ever do and like have access to. But that's what they're doing. So that's why they're doing that, because they're fun guys to be around. But if you're actually trying to provide value to a customer and you're focusing in on that and like not those MBAs, we don't need the MBAs to get the deal done. We can just do the deal ourselves. Then things will change.
hard to differentiate yourself. Everybody looks the same on paper.
Right, except that the snow, they're doing cocaine, bringing the guy doing the 3 martini lunch and the cocaine on the strippers. That's another thing that you just don't see that part. It's like a lot of that business gets done that way, sir.
Option 5 is to go the entrepreneur route. If you were the boss, then you personally don't have to compete with the AI. You'll be directing the AI or the people that are using the AI. On the other hand, assuming you say in a white collar industry.
So it's going to be like this between an owner, manager, producer. Like you're going to have to wear more hats and to provide the value for your customers. And this whole big working at a big corporation thing, I think that may be a time when that's going away as well, because be open to attack. They're open to too much attack. They can't afford to have everybody work for them. When all their market spaces are being niched down and being split up.
You are responsible for your company staying in business, and your company is absolutely competing with AIs who are, at least in theory, getting better and better at competing against whatever your company does. So you're not competing directly with what your boss thinks the AI can do better than you, but more competing with other people and other companies who are trying to use the AI to produce better results than you can.
Right.
So your choices,
that's what I see.
As I see them, are go with the wave, go hide your head in the sand, go deep, go wide, or go out on your own.
Go wide and go out on
Now,
your own.
If that seems kind of scary to you, then congratulations.
It's been scary the whole time, man. The mirage of the permanent IBM employee or whatever, your job security. You're in the wrong field. This thing has been volatile the whole time. That's why I love it. But a lot of people are like, I want to just make a little good career. It's like, I want to become a React boot camp graduate. Don't have a good career. It's like, stop. It's not been like that. That you're only people temporarily fooled you to get their needs met. That was not a sustainable thing the way they had set it up. And it fell apart so fast. It's like, it's kind of obvious looking back. It's like, that was not sustainable. It's like, no, no, was not sustainable.
And paying attention. I talk on this channel a lot about how I don't think that AI can replace programmers except the ones with no practical experience, but I already made that video.
Yeah.
But it's already reducing the need for as many of us as there used to be. I'm still optimistic on
Right now, the way we were doing this stuff before, yeah. But that we haven't seen the niche down yet. People are still kind of reeling from what's happening, and the economy's kind of screwy. So we haven't seen the people what people have come up with yet. I mean, Fred's Road Trip Storyteller came up with it that way, and the Cloud Cover app did it that way too. So if I wouldn't be able to do that without the AI assistance, I mean, I probably would have. It just would take like 3 times as long, twice as long. Anyways, keep going.
programming as a profession, though. I think that in the long term, we're going to end up with more software jobs, not less. The same way that site builder technology like WordPress and Squarespace that made it possible to make a website without knowing HTML resulted in more web jobs, not less. But just like the industry crashes in 2000, 2003, and 2008, 2010, I think we're going through a tough few years.
Right, but that's not necessarily technologically based. It's just the markets, this crazy economy in this world, that they do boom bust cycles that totally manipulate the stock prices. Anyways, keep going.
But a lot of the alternative careers are in worse shape. If you think AI is rough for programmers, talk to a freelance artist or a journalist or a copywriter, translator, customer service representative, paralegals, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they're done. They're cooked. They're in trouble. They're in serious trouble. Now, what if they're smart? If they want to keep doing this whole thing, there's like buggy whip salesmen. They're done. But if they're smart, they're like, okay, there's this new thing, and I want to I want to get back into it. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to accept the punches as they come. Then there's opportunities available. But those people are like, nah, it's the AI took my job.
But the thing about programmers is that the quality of our work matters. It's
correct,
measurable by defect rates and security vulnerabilities in ways that a lot of other professions aren't. But those measurements of the quality of a programmer's work are very long-term and are not standardized in a way that a chess game or an SAT score is. And the metrics differ enough between projects that our skills don't fall into the realm of things it's easy for an AI to iterate and optimize solutions for. That might change. I think it's going to be hard to get there.
The niching down thing, if you take advantage of the niching down and you just specialize into whatever see, the thing is, you do have to spend some time in these corporate environments to see the inefficiencies are all over the place, and then also like find out how to make connections with people to do these businesses yourself. That's the business of America's business has never been employees. That was always that was a kayfabe just to convince people that it was a valid option. It was never a valid option. The business of America is a business. If you're not in business, you should be in business as quickly as possible, somehow, some way. Even though the failure rates are super high, it's the only way out.
When it comes to programming specifically, going back to my 5 strategies, unlike some professions, we have choices, aside from hiding at least. That's not really compatible with programming. If you want to chase the AI wave as a programmer, you're better positioned than most people. I'm not saying it will be easy, but it will be easier for you than for the average white-collar worker. The going deep strategy is an option, although it's a lot of work, and you have to be good or lucky at finding trendy and popular tech to become an expert on.
Man. If you find a niche, well, that's my thing as well. Is if you can go deep into a niche and you can find a niche and exploit it fully. Do not give up. If you find a niche that pays money, you found a winner. Do not think that you're just that smart. You got lucky, and exploit the hell out of it for as long as you can, and make those customers happy. Because if you've really got something good, you're going to expect competition.
But in the short term, that's probably the easiest way to get hired right now. Keeping up, though, gets exhausting. The going wide strategy, I think, is the safest long term, but the hiring processes are just too far behind at the moment. The skills I think that are most needed in the AI coding future are going to be debugging and troubleshooting and predicting the unexpected potential consequences of bad code and preventing it from getting into production.
That's senior level dev work. You just only get that from making the mistakes and putting your time on the machine and dealing with the errors as they come, and that's painful.
And that's all well and good, but have you ever seen that on a job description? Have you ever been asked questions about debugging or troubleshooting in a programmer
No, I've asked them, but people usually don't ask.
interview? I mean, it does happen sometimes, but it's a rare thing. It's never given the weight or importance in an interview that I think it deserves. The assumption is
people don't even like to use a debugger. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like to use a debugger? That thing's awesome. You got threads all over the place. You gotta freaking have debugger. It's like, oh, just print log. Like,
people who are good at memorizing and regurgitating leak code problems at a whiteboard would also be good at debugging. But in my experience, that's not true at all.
Yeah. The leak code grinding is just like head fake. And it was the way to extract money from you. It's not, not what we're doing. And the AI just made it all moot anyway. It's like, oh, brutal. Now it is useful to like know all these little ways of solving these issues, but a lot of times the AI is going to suggest it, and we don't even use that leak code shit anyway. 99 point per, it was IBM did a study, was like 86% of the code is just load, process, out, save, load, input, process, stores. Most of the time is filtering and sorting. Ooh, I got a leak code on that.
So the going wide strategy is tough now because companies don't know they need that, or they don't know how to hire for that. And also because the monopoly power
As well, they shouldn't, because this is the time when they're going to find out, because they're going to get their lunch taken by people like me and you. They're going to use these tools and they're going to directly attack these ridiculous companies with their ridiculous sprint goals. Jira tickets is to attack directly and take a slice of their customers. And they'll be like, what's going on? What's happening? What do you mean Agile certification is not working? Oh.
of the big tech giants has insulated them from the consequences of bad
What, the sprint points aren't working?
code. And so customers are just kind of getting used to it, which leaves going your own way, the entrepreneur strategy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend this is easy to make a living at. It's
Hell no.
not, and especially not quickly. It takes time to build a product that works at all, and it takes more time to iterate on it.
But it's faster than ever. It's faster than ever. And you can, if you go to the KMP route, which I'm totally, this is what channel's about it. If you use KMP, you get the iOS for free. You get the desktop for free. You 90%, 95%, 98% of your code is going to be in one thing, which does the UI and the input and the output and the serialization libraries, all one thing for desktop, iOS, for web, for Android. Backend, all one set of libraries, one language, does them all. And it's not going to be changing, swapping out. We got a whole new way of doing it now. We're not doing React hooks anymore. We're doing functional. Oh, Jesus.
Until it's good enough of a solution to fit exactly into a painful enough problem that enough customers will each pay enough money for you to make a living. There's never been a better time to start a solo or maybe even a small team entrepreneurial software business, though.
Agreed. That's what my adventure driven, the whole series, which I'll leave a link in the little deedly do. That's all it's about.
AI is actually a benefit in this case, but you'll probably need another source of income to pay the bills for some time,
Yeah.
or you'll need to get investors, which is a whole other nightmare.
Oh, I would just bootstrap. Try to figure out a way to bootstrap, man. Find your customer base. Find a way to define the product service that was going to be paid for potentially before you go VC route. No, man, you got, and you should be, before you even talk to VCs or investors, except for maybe friends and family, you're gonna have to have customers already. So there's no way around it, man. This whole day of building when they will come, that's over. The whole VCs without customers, that's over.
Go into.
But that's cool now, because the AIs lets us ramp these things up. Once we find a customer and an issue, a problem like somebody was going to pay for, ramping these things up, building these products, never been easier. And these bypassing these old ways of building these products. Oh, we got a sprint certification. No, you can skip all that by doing the adventure driven, which is, I go into detail with it, but I'm not going to talk.
I think that any of the wide, deep, or entrepreneur strategies are viable for programmers specifically. Not easy, but viable.
Yeah, I've done it before.
Getting into the creation of new ideas.
It's fun. It's exhilarating. It's super scary. Very risky. Well, it's less risky now, especially if you validate your idea before you start writing software. So start writing something. Yeah, it's definitely the easiest way than ever. But it's not talked about. Adventure driven. I had to come up with a new word.
AIs and getting hired by one of the AI companies is possible and might be viable. But if you're not already working in that field, my sense is that you're going to have a really hard time. And if the bubble does pop, that path is going to be a mess. I personally don't expect that I can help you a lot with the deep strategy. There are a lot of resources for that already. They're specific to different technology stacks. And if that's the route you want to go, I wish you luck. But I don't expect a ton of my content are going to be directly applicable to that deep strategy.
Correct.
I talk about the wide strategy from time to time, like in my programming skills that the AI can't have, but you can video. That's the one with the memento guy on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And the how developers might stop worrying video, which is the one with the South Park gnome on the thumbnail.
Yeah, I love that one.
These skills also show up partially in my software as a service videos, which are the videos that I'm already started making about the entrepreneur inside business path. Ideally, as a side project while you still have an income to pay the bills, although in the way layoffs have been happening lately, we don't always get a choice.
Correct.
I've got a lot more videos in the planning stages about that. In fact, if you're an experienced programmer who's interested in potentially starting your own software as a service project, stay tuned. I'm trying to figure out how best to help folks in that situation, so I'm going to start collecting input soon from some of you watching. I'll be putting out a video specifically about how...
It's mostly about finding the problem that people are going to want to buy their service for. That's always the crux. That's always what it is. Like, what do we build? Who's it for? How much can they spend? Can I make money on it? Can I build a team from it? Can I build a company on it? Or is it just going to be me solo? And me and the AI, which is totally cool. A lot of people do that. But yeah, that's always gonna be the problem because once you know the problem space, the solution space, the AI can help you build it. So finding that stuff, which is totally human, back to the human thing. All right, give me a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll leave the links in the daily do.